How's it going, YouTube? And I am not having fun at the moment. Yeah, it's raining and there's traffic and it's just the usual mess going through a metropolitan area during rush hour. That's not what I'm not having a great time about here. The real reason I'm on here to bellyache is because, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, I'm getting pretty tired of the prevailing sentiment throughout Western culture right now that being in a relationship with someone of the opposite sex is essentially a death sentence, or it's a waste of time, or it's gonna ruin you financially, mentally, emotionally, all three, physically, whatever. It's like, where is the hope? Where is the genuine desire to try to improve someone else's life through your own self-sacrifice? Isn't that what partnership or marriage is about? One person begins to sacrifice not just for themselves, but for the person they are with, in order for that person to then have the environment from which they sacrifice from themselves to the person with whom they are joined, right? That's what it's supposed to be, right? A partnership. You're not getting everything you want, but you're creating a system or an environment where you and a whole other person can then build something completely unique together that could result in children, or at the very least, a stable, comfortable, hopefully happy home, right? But it's like everyone seems to be on this bandwagon of, all right, well, modern women are trash because they're all psychotic. They all want Chad or Tyrone or whatever your red pill manosphere terminology is. Women are complaining that there's no good men anywhere for them to find. And what they allegedly mean is there's no, rich, tall men floating around them to just snap up when they're not worth it themselves in the first place. It's like, when are we gonna get our heads out of our backsides on a collective level, not just on an individual level, but collectively find a way to extricate our skulls from our own sphincters, right? When are we gonna finally do that and start taking a step back, get off the internet, and look around, touch some grass, figure things out? Because, good Lord above, it's like, if you buy into all of this mess, essentially what you're going to walk away with is the takeaway that if you are at all in a relationship, you failed. Point blank. You have failed. You have completely failed as a human being, because apparently what you're supposed to do as a proper human being in Western culture is to use, abuse, and discard anyone you see fit, whether it's same sex, opposite sex, whatever, both, who cares? We have become so comfortable with this disposable personality culture that we don't even see each other as human beings at the moment. We see each other as these placeholders for something that we're just waiting to replace with something better. There's no desire or incentive or urge of any sort to make sufficient investment and self-sacrifice into someone else in order for a relationship to come out of that is meaningful and healthy and could potentially end up being extremely fulfilling for both people, provided that both people are actually willing to put in the work. And I am sick to death of this mindset. It is the biggest pile of trash currently pervading Western culture, in my opinion. It's right up there with the whole chase Chad culture, the hypergamy, whatever terminology you want to add in there, all of this crap is essentially, in my opinion, socially regressive, not socially progressive. We're not getting anywhere fast with any of this nonsense. We're only going backward, and we're rendering ourselves extinct in the process. Why? Because birth rates are down. Why? Because no one wants to have families. Why? Because no one is willing to risk it. And yeah, there's divorce culture and a bunch of other things and different laws that really play into that, but no one apparently sees love or another person whom they can sow into and then be validated by in return and cared for in return. No one sees that as anything of value anymore. It's all just pure sacrifice for absolutely zero return. In other words, it's a complete lose-lose situation. Like there's no return on the investment in any capacity. It's just, well, you're stuck with her now. Have fun there, buddy. Or, oh, you settled for him? Oh, you poor girl. Oh, I'm so sorry. You know, all that crap. Couple that with the very real situation that just about everyone somehow, some way has some sort of mental or emotional trauma or illness that they're working through or aren't even aware of yet, whether it's an attachment style issue or it's, you know, their upbringing or whatever. Like everyone's got some kind of mental problem, some kind of emotional problem that prevents them from being a stable partner in a relationship. And the sentiment there is like, okay, if that person is not fully emotionally and mentally stable, bail. They're not worth your time or your effort. Discard them immediately, otherwise you are going to waste your life trying to save them. On the one hand, I can see a point to that because some people truly are emotional and energy vampires, and all they want to do is latch onto someone else and just bleed them dry of everything they possibly can. Those people do exist. Those people should not get any attention or investment whatsoever. But everyone else, let's be real here, almost everyone else is salvageable. I'm saying it again, almost everyone else is salvageable if you, whether you're male, female, whatever, are willing to learn about that person in order to accept their imperfection, meet them in their place of weakness, and be a comfort to them in that place. If you are willing to do that and to sacrifice the time and the energy and the effort it will require, that it will absolutely require, the potential does exist. Okay, let me say it again. The potential does exist for that person to open up to you in a way they've opened up for no one else, and for something truly beautiful to come out of that, all right? However, it requires you to be empathetic, it requires you to be patient, and it requires you to be willing to put in the time and the effort yourself in order to give that person the opportunity to feel safe enough and comfortable enough to open up. And no one apparently has the patience or the willingness to do that. So all we're doing is throwing each other away when we don't get exactly what we want immediately. And that has to stop. Otherwise, all we're going to be doing is continuously inflicting hurt on each other And only a society of hurt, broken people will be around to take over things and keep things going. And they're just not going to have the interest or the willingness to invest or give of themselves to keep things going, because they're going to enter into their own sort of nihilism of, why should I even care? No one appreciates me. Everyone hates me. I should just kill myself. That's what we're on track to be doing to each other here, folks. And at some point, we've got to get out of that tailspin before we crash. It ain't going to be Washington, D.C. that sends us into that nosedive for the last time. It's going to be us on an individual basis, person to person, mano a mano. That is what's going to destroy us all, not politics in D.C., London, Berlin, Tokyo, Beijing. No, it's going to be the individual people not being good human beings. That is what's going to destroy us all. That is my soapbox for the day. Thank you so much for watching my diatribe. I'll see you down the road, hopefully with happier content.